As photographers, you know that light can be your worst enemy, but it could also be your best friend. But if you learn to master it, you can control it and you can shape it. And here to tell you today a bit more about light, we have a true master in the art of shaping light. The next person on stage has shot everything from Hollywood celebrities and supermodels to politicians, goats and onions. He has also shot all of our beautiful black product portraits that you can see on our website today. His name is David Bishop. Please give him a warm applause, and his assistant Anders Hamela.
Tack så mycket. Thank you. So, my name is David Bishop in Swedish, and my great assistant Anders. Yeah! Let me also introduce Mr. Ken. This is Ken, and I know we are 22 countries in here, right? Is there anyone from the Fiji Islands here? No, because I hurt my foot. That is why I'm wearing slippers. So I'm limping. So if you see a beardy guy far away limping, then you know it's me, okay? So the limping guy who hurt his foot at the jungles at the Fiji Island, that's me, okay? So bear with my limping. Okay, so we're here today to talk about how light works. Light works. How light works, how do you control light? That is our main theme. So this is a brief, how can you say it? This is a brief way of telling you the important parts of how light works. So, today I think that when you start out with light, you get your camera, you get your first flash. How do people learn light? Before you were an assistant and you get people who taught them, or you went to the schools, and as Sal said, today everybody is self-taught. Everybody is their own teacher. So I think that maybe YouTube perhaps is the best way to learn, or the most common way to learn, I should put it. So I did a YouTube search for learn light or light tutorials and such. And the result, I mean, there is a lot of people out there telling you how light works. This is how you learn how to light. It's a lot. It's really, really a lot. Everybody is a photographer today, and everybody seems to be a light educator. So how do you know what you're watching? How do you know that what they are saying is the correct thing to say? How do you know that the information is correct, and how do you sort the bull crap? Because I promise you, there is a lot of bull crap out there. And it's totally natural. They have tried everything out themselves. Everybody's a photographer, and now everybody is like a scientist, trying to understand how light works. But I promise you, there is people who really have figured this out. For thousands of years ago, they started to, really try to understand how does light work. And we have Nobel Prize winners now that really do understand the physics about light. So there is a way, there is really a really good explanation of how light works. So why doesn't everybody just go to what's in the physics books and try to understand this? Because it is there. You don't have to reinvent everything. So I did this. I do a lot of lecturing on how light works, and I actually converted the physics to what a photographer needs to know. Unfortunately, we only have 30 minutes here, and this usually takes about 2 days to explain. But I would like to try this on you. Are you ready? Ready. Cool. So, the science way from a photographer's perspective. Buckle up. Okay, let's see. So we have a light source that has a shape that controls the shadow edges, the horizontal width, the vertical width, and the ensemble, the reflection shape, and the diffuse reflection, the direct reflection, and the specular highlights, and the protected light image. The speed angle, on the other hand, is the indirect contrast, the depth of light, the saturation, the micro contrast, and the reflection strength. The color is the Kelvin, and the green magenta shift, and the color accuracy capacity. So now you get it. Dun, dun. So thank you. No. Well, that was way too much. Sorry, way too much information at once, of course. But me and Anders, we sat down and really thought, how can we make this in 30 minutes? And I've been speaking already for, so we have to speed this up, okay? So we have put together this, we have searched, we have filtered all this important information, and we have sorted out all the bullcrap, and are now going to present to you the 3 most important cornerstones of how light works. Okay, are you ready? The first one, number 1, is of course the distance of light. How far away or how close are you putting the light? That is very important. And then of course the direction of light. And the third cornerstone is the shape of light. These 3 things you got to understand how they affect what you are doing. So let's look at the first one, the distance. How far away are you putting the light? This is what I do at evenings. Funny animations. So Anders, he has this A1 on the tripod or on the light stand, and we have Mr. Ken. And if you take this one, I take the camera. So what we are going to do now is to take to look at the wall, the background. So that's why I made this square and a beautiful arrow to make you focus on the background, because this is what it's all about. How bright will the background be, okay? So if I just take a shot, I turn on my A1. Actually, this A1 is just now as a remote to make this one flash. So it works as a remote. So, Mr. Ken, are you ready? Good. I take an image and look at the background. Hey, ska vi se här. Sorry. The camera said error 001. So this guy has nothing to do with it. So I think there we go. Mr. Ken, are you ready? Okay, so here we have Mr. Ken. And we have the square, which you are supposed to really concentrate on. I think that Ken is beautiful, but the square is a bit too dark. So, I want the square to be brighter. I want the background to be brighter. So what do you do? If you put the light closer, if you do it again, if you put the light closer, the background will go brighter, right? So let's try that. Can we make the background brighter by bringing in the light closer? So, Mr. Ken, are you ready? Closer with the light. And look into the square. Now we have our, could you turn a bit more to Mr. Ken so we get some more light on him? Great. But you see what's happening. The background is getting darker. I'm putting the light closer, and the background is getting darker. That's kind of mindfuck, right? So if you back up the light, then the background will go brighter. So let's try. Far away with the light, and let's look into the square. And boom, we have Santorini light. Do we have anyone from Greece here? This is the Greece light. So what I'm after is that the further away you have the light, the background will go brighter. The closer you are, the background will go darker. And as Sal said, you can be a mathematician and calculate this with inverse square law and such. But this is the key thing. Darker, closer, darker, closer. So that's the first cornerstone, the distance. So if you go back, please, to the presentation. Mr. Presentation Guy, switch to HDMI. Great. So, number 2. Cornerstone number 2, the direction. From where comes the light? that also is really important and affects what you are doing a lot. And so let's take a look at it. I'm sure that you are familiar with these terms: the butterfly light, the Rembrandt light, the broad light, the short light, and there's a lot of light patterns with cool names. And I would say that these four are, you should have them. You should have them in your pocket, right? So let's look at the butterfly light. Anders, if you please could light on Mr. Ken.
Yes, here we go. We got a nice butterfly on him, and it's called butterfly because the shadow of the nose tip here looks like a butterfly flying towards the camera. It does not look like a butterfly from above. And one good key rule to think about here is to have the shadow of the nose tip about halfway on the lip. Then you have a very nice butterfly.
And one thing that is really great, have you ever taken portraits of elderly women, with wrinkled throats? If you put a shadow on it, like with the butterfly light, then the wrinkles are hidden. So that's great. So the butterfly light is really popular in beauty shots and such. And there was this beautiful actress, Marlene Dietrich. She demanded on every set that she must have a butterfly light. Anyone from Germany here? Yeah, how do you say this in German? I want butterfly light. So she said, I have no idea. No, sorry. So the butterfly light has been around for a really long time. And then we have, of course, the Rembrandt light. Anders, could you please tell us a bit more about Rembrandt?
Yeah, this is a bit of a tricky one, but what I normally try to do is, again, looking at the shadow of the nose tip here, and start from the side and until it hits the other shadow area over here. And then you just turn up the light, and then boom, here you got the shadow. You got pretty strong stage lights here. But
yes, so the triangle on the dark side, the triangle on the cheekbone, that is the significant part of the Rembrandt light. Rembrandt was a painter, as we all know, who always painted this kind of lights. So, you see the dark part there, he has the triangle on the cheekbone, very, very popular and very, very dramatic. And there we have, of course, the broad light, the third one. The broad light, when the head is turned a bit away from camera, if the direction of light is aimed towards the broad part of the face, we have a short part, the dark part here, and the broad part. If the direction is towards the broad part, it's a broad light. And then we have its sister, the short lighting. When the light is directed at the short side of the head, then we have the short light. So I would like you to participate in a very, very strange experiment. You see, I took these screenshots from Hollywood blockbuster movies. As soon as I saw a face, I screen grabbed it and put it into this presentation. Because I want you to scream out if it is a short light or a broad light, just to see. Okay? So the first face that showed up was Mr. Captain America. Yeah, short light. And the next face that showed up was this. Yeah, another short light. And the third person who showed up was this. Yes, this is also a short light. And then, suddenly, Mr. Captain America came up again, and we have a short light yet again. And then all these people turn up. And then this guy. Yeah, you see where I'm heading at? Short light, short light, short light, short light, and I haven't been selecting short light frames. This is actual frames from trailers from the movies. So short light and moving images, it's it's almost hard to find a broad light in moving images. And why is that? In moving images, in movies, the light can never be unnatural. That's totally impossible. Well, James Bond here, it looks kind of unnatural lit. You can't have that. So short light and natural light, they like each other really, really much. And that is because when you do a short light, you can use the background to motivate why the light is as it is. And now we're talking about the direction. So in this slide, we have the window on the right side. So let's make it the lights also come from the right. And then we have the color, of course, it has to match. And the power, of course, it has to match. And with the A1, if you do the A1 straight on, since it has such a beautiful light, you can fill it perfectly to match up everything. So motivated light, I would say that is the key to if you're doing advanced natural light. So, another one, these guys, short lights. And this guy, painted by Caravaggio, like back in the days, short lights. This is old images I took for like 15 years ago. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just following my gut feeling. I thought it looked good, and yeah, short light. The girl in the right corner, the girl with a pearl earring, short light. So, I mean, it's a standard. It has been around for a long time. And of course, broad light can work too. Broad light, you get this jawline really, really strong. So broad light, there's nothing wrong with broad light. But if you are trying to fake these big scenes with a lot of light, then go for short light, because it's much more easy to get it to look natural. So let's just take a simple demo of the short light. Thank you.
There we go.
So Mr. Ken is here. If I'm shooting him from straight up like this, we won't get a short light, because then we don't have any short side facing the light. So if I'm here, now I will have a short light. So let's see where we're heading up. Some focus, and yep, I am so good. I'm thinking, I don't want to ruin anything for you, Anders. Is it okay if I turn this down a bit? You can all scream, Anders. Okay, so let's go here. Maybe, Anders, maybe you have a remote back there?
Yep.
Okay. You see where I'm heading at? Let's go. Actually, Anders, you were right. It was right from the beginning. So here we have the short light. The short side of the face, the direction is towards the short light, towards the short side of the face. So let's go back to the slides, please. So then we have cornerstone number 3, the shape. The shape of the light source. The sun is round. This is round. A1 is round. Why is this important? And not only the shape, but the relative shape, the size of it. I'm sure you're quite aware of the hard light and soft light and terms like that. When we have a hard light, you know, I have a hard light on me right now, like hard rock like. And if I have small babies with the blankets and warming light, then we have soft light. Okay, soft light and hard light. We all know what that is. But if we look a bit more into it, when we have a shadow, the lower part here on this slide, that is the shadow, and the upper part is light. In between shadow and light, where we have almost shadow, that is called the penumbra. The penumbra is the part between light and shadow. That is the edge of the shadow. And this you can change. You can change how wide do you want the penumbra to be. And that is directly connected to the shape of the light source. So if we look here at Anders, no, sorry, I thought it was your shadow. If we look at this shadow, it's going between a hard shadow and a soft Anders shadow. Okay? If we zoom into the head to see the penumbra, the soft shadow, that's the penumbra, and the hard shadow. So the two blue arrows that you can change with the shape of the light source. It's totally up to the photographer. And the connection is, as I said, the size of the light source is the size of the penumbra. And when you have a square light source, then you will have a penumbra that is wide in one angle, but short in another one. So when you have a round light source, then the penumbra will be as wide in all directions, which is also a very important key if you want to, mimic the natural sunlight. So that is very important to mimic a natural light. So let's take a little image here. If we switch back to Mr. That's great. If you look at this image, the one we took with the short light, if you look at the penumbra of this image, the edge of the shadow, it's very, very thin. Okay, that is because we have a small light source. So if I take an image of the light source from Mr. Ken's perspective, then we should see a small light source, since we have a small penumbra, okay? So I try. Let's see where we are. Okay, a small, round, white light source. Hence, the small, tight penumbra. So what if we'd make the light source a bit bigger? If Anders is holding a piece of paper, so the flash will shine on this, so this will be the light source, a bit bigger. What will happen to the penumbra? It will go a bit bigger. So let's take an image of the light source. So this will be our new light source, a bit bigger. So how will the penumbra be? The penumbra should get a bit bigger and feel a bit more softer. I'm not saying that you should go out and buy papers now. I'm just trying to show what happens with the penumbra. Mr. Ken, are you ready? So if we now look at the penumbra on the neck, it's a bit bigger. So if we want to have the penumbra even bigger, all we need to do is to buy an even bigger paper. Or we could just use the wall, do it indirectly, and create a new light source. Really big one to get a really big penumbra. So if I take a picture of this new light source, then we can predict how the penumbra will be. So I take a picture here. Okay, you see the doll, you see the A1, and you see the light source. It's a huge, beautiful light source, which will create a huge, beautiful penumbra, which will feel soft. So, Mr. Ken, 3, 2, 1, and as simple as that. All we have done is created a really big penumbra, and it feels really soft. Yeah. So if I take the clicker and we go back to the slides, please. So to conclude this short educational part, the distance of the light controls the fall off. The closer you are, the darker the background will be. And vice versa. The further away you are, the brighter the background it will be. The direction controls, of course, the shadow's position. And that is very important because this is where you really can be creative. And if you do it, yeah. And the shape controls the penumbra. Really simple. And when you're doing the quest things later on, which Anders will go more into detail about, I think that these 3 things are really a really good start to try to experiment with. And this was actually the final slide, but then I really had to put in one more thing. Because when I have been using the A1, for me, I think that struck me the most was the stupidly fast recycling time. When I have been using other brands, like, speedlights and such, when they take a picture, so for me, this was quite cool. So I thought maybe if Mr. Anders, could you please be a bride that just have been married and you are about to throw away the bridal bouquet? And you know what happens if you catch it, right? So I'm going to shoot this in serial mode because I don't want to miss anyone. I want a lot of pictures of the flowers. Are you ready? Is Anders ready?
I was born ready.
So let's take this one. 3, 2, 1, go! Yeah, you got the picture, right?
Thank you so much,
you.
David.
Thank you so much. Thank you.